So, hey, Dr. Kanoja, I recently watched your video on procrastination. It makes me worried. It makes me a bit worried. I'm a senior in my last semester of college, and I've only recently started working on my anxiety. You recommend to do yoga, nidra, and meditation to have a clear mind in order to have perfect reading comprehension, but I still have lots of anxiety, and I don't think I will be able to read well enough in time for the last semester. Is there more to reading comprehension, or am I just screwed? So this is going to sound kind of rough, but you're just screwed. So this is important to understand. If you have built a life for yourself where you're kind of hanging on by a thread and you're thinking that there's some kind of miraculous thing to change it, that's not going to happen. Here's what I will say is that being screwed in your last semester doesn't mean that you're screwed in life. I graduated with a 2.6 GPA, and that's okay. So if you still have lots of anxiety, you're not going to be able to master yoga, nidra, meditation rapidly enough. I mean, maybe you can. Maybe you can take the semester off and go to India and study it and stuff like that. Maybe you can do that. I don't know. But this is really important to understand. You reap what you sow, and karma has two ends, right? So karma is the principle of cause and effect. And if you've created a particular life where in your last semester of your college and you're just starting to deal with anxiety, chances are you're not going to be able to conquer anxiety in a heroic movie-like fashion and just be great and have perfect reading comprehension. Growth and progress takes time. The problem with your statement is there more to reading comprehension, or am I just screwed? Even though you cannot attain what you want, which is perfect reading, maybe you can, I don't know. But even if you can't attain that, that doesn't mean you're actually screwed. So just because you have a bad last semester in college, I don't know if the last 7 semesters you've had in college were miraculous. If you have a 4.0 GPA, then you're not screwed. And if you've got a 2.0 GPA for the last 7 semesters of college, the last semester doesn't make that big of a difference. Right? So you're not, whether you're screwed or not, yeah, you're screwed. You're not going to be able to fix your reading comprehension. But this is the thing. That's okay. You start today because your life is long. You're going to be around, I'm assuming that you're 21 or 22. And so if you're 21 or 22 and you're in college, or even 23 or 24, you've got 40 years ahead of you. And if you start working on your anxiety today and you kind of get that under control in the next year or two, then you'll be fine. I started medical school at the age of 27. Most people start medical school at the age of 22. So when I went to college and I graduated with my pre-med buddies who all went off to medical school. 7 years later, when they're training to be trauma surgeons and working in hospitals in residency, 5 years later, when they're actually medical doctors that are in operating rooms, and I message them on Facebook because I'm the boomer generation, they're like, hey man, what are you up to? And I'm going to be like, oh, I'm about to start medical school. And I'm like, what are you up to? And they're like, I'm pulling bullets out of people in the operating room. So that's, was I screwed? Sort of. You could say that I'm screwed for starting med school 5 years late, but I don't think that that's actually screwed. So you're okay. Do the best that you can. Focus on your anxiety. And the more that you get caught up in whether the idea you're screwed or not, the worse your anxiety is going to get. And the more screwed you're going to get. So just do the best that you can. Do yoga nidra, do meditation, study as best as you can, and understand that anxiety is going to take a little while, and you'll find your way. It just takes, you're taking the scenic route in life. And this is the thing that people don't seem to understand. I don't know why people don't get this. If you have a choice between screwing around in your 20s and starting your career 2 years later, or retiring 2 years early, when would you rather have more time? In your 20s or your 60s? If you don't start your massive career and start working, I started med school at the age of 27, which means I got to game for 5 years. And then I started studying a ton and going to classes and stuff like that. And then residency is 80 hours a week. Have fun. If you've screwed yourself over in life and in college, start to make significant changes. And then also have fun because you're in your 20s. I'm not saying shirk the rest of your responsibilities. I was working hard, but I also had fun. So it's not the end. You're not actually screwed, but you're kind of screwed. The thing that you want is not going to happen. That does not mean that you're screwed. It's the wrong way of thinking. Okay. Okay, so there's a question. How do you mentally deal with a family member physically suffering daily? How can I expand on my meditation to keep from feeling so sad from the suffering? So I'll read that again, okay? So, how do you mentally deal with a family member physically suffering daily? How can I expand on my meditation to keep from feeling so sad from the suffering? So this is important to understand, because we just talked to Krusif about this. The goal of meditation is to keep yourself from feeling sad. Meditation does not do anything to your sadness. Does not do anything to your anxiety. Meditation is about tolerating those feelings without them controlling you. To acknowledge that there's the specter of sadness here, and that you let yourself feel that, but then you don't let it control you. So this is the problem with like gaming and substances, is when you think about addictive reasons, like why do you get addicted to video games? It's because when you play a video game, you stop feeling sad. When you use like alcohol or heroin or marijuana, you stop feeling the anxiety. That's why it's so damn addictive. Because it keeps you from feeling the negative feelings. The road that I advocate is not stopping feeling the negative feelings. It's training yourself to feel those things and not let them control you. That's what meditation is about. Right? So when I was working with cancer patients, and I taught them how to meditate, I did a study, and at the beginning of teaching them how to meditate, before I taught them how to meditate, I gave them a questionnaire and said, rank your pain on a scale of 1 to 10. And then at the end of teaching them how to meditate, 8 weeks later, I said, rank your pain on a scale of 1 to 10. Can you guys guess what they said at the beginning of the study? Any ideas? Cancer pain, scale of 1 to 10. How bad is it? What do you guys think? Okay. So I asked Twitch chat a relatively serious question, and I got, oh, okay, I see. Yeah, so it was 9 out of 10. And what do you guys think it was at the end of the study? Yeah, so all kinds of things. So it was 9 at the end of the study. And then I was like, man, that sucks. I thought I was going to fix everything. And these people didn't get better. And then they thanked me. And I was like, dude, what are you thanking me for? Like, your pain isn't any better. And they said, yeah, like, my pain isn't actually any better, but I feel like there's a window between me and the pain. I feel like there is a invisible wall between me and the pain. That's what a window is, right? It's an invisible wall. And so that's what meditation does. It doesn't actually change the way that you feel. It just creates distance between you and your feelings. Because the problem with feelings is not the actual sadness. It's the consumption of your mind by the sadness. It's like you are the embodiment of sadness. And you are the embodiment of anger or anxiety. And that, like, when you are stuck in an anxious pattern, there is no distance between reality and your thoughts, right? Like, let's understand this. When you are stuck in anxiety, the thoughts that you have, you feel like they're true. It becomes true. Like, anxiety is like the fears that you have, you treat them as if they're real. Like, that's why it's so painful. It's not just random stuff that your mind is thinking. It's like the thoughts are real, and that's why they hurt so much and why they're so scary. But just think for a second. Those are thoughts. They're not actually real, but you don't realize that when you get into an anxious mindset. It's just thoughts. It's just thoughts, man. It's just thoughts. We have them all the time about all kinds of random stuff. It doesn't destroy our life. So what you got to do is meditate. And meditate creates distance between the sensations and thoughts in your head and you. It's just thoughts. Okay. And the other thing is, if you're dealing with a family member who's suffering, just like understand that you may need like support on that, right? So once again, thinking about cancer. So there's a growing, body of evidence that suggests that when someone has cancer, like it's really important to get like support for caregivers. So like family members of people with cancer, like also need support. So you should think about getting some support. Because that's tough. Like if you've got a family member who's like suffering all the time, like you've got to take care of yourself. So I really like what you do. I was wondering, how can I help people in life who need help with anxiety and the problems they face? So one thing is you can become like a therapist, right? So you can train to become a therapist or psychiatrist or psychologist or things like that. We actually have a coaching program where I'm training a group of coaches because I recognize that, this AOE healing is great, but at the end of the day, like I think one-on-one work is important. So we're training about 10 coaches right now who are going to start working with people in our beta program. So you can sign up on healthygamer.gg. I don't know what exactly the link is, but there's some way to sign up to become a coach there. So if you guys are interested in sort of one-on-one, not one-on-one, but like training to kind of do something like what I do, then and help other people, then by all means sign up. And then also if you want individual help, so I got something like 500 to 1,000 requests in December. If you sent me a request, I'm doing my best to respond to each one individually. But it just takes time. So you're going to get a copy paste answer as well as like a little bit of a personal answer. I'm sorry, I'm doing the best that I can. And if you guys need help, you can also sign up on HealthyGamer.gg for if you're looking to get help one-on-one through a coach. And then we're also I got to figure out, I still got to just figure out what we're going to do to help people. So I'm thinking about starting a couple of groups that I'm going to run. So we'll select like 5 to 10 people per group who sort of have shared issues. And we'll try to work through those on our own. I mean, like as a group. So, yeah. So that's what you should do. You can try to help us help people, or you can become, a licensed mental health practitioner, or you can become like a life coach or spiritual guru.